Hello. So today we're going to talk about a balanced literacy framework and how to effectively present it in the classroom in order to set the standards to effectively create learners. So let's first dive into how children learn to read and write and how strong literacy skills are built. So first of all, we need to meet students where they are. Learn about their academic level of learning and build a strong foundation beginning from knowing each student's needs. Emerging literacy begins at infancy and is an ongoing process of learning to understand and to use language at birth and begins through early childhood. During this period, children learn to listen and speak to communicate. At the same time, students grow and they learn to read and write over time. This begins by listening to their favorite stories being read aloud and developing letter recognition by words that they see often with store signs and even playing with alphabet blocks. Children make language discoveries as they play, explore, and interact with others. They learn to understand that print carries meaning and illustrations help aid in telling the story, and that this can be displayed by taking a picture walk. Students then learn to identify names and letters of the alphabet and then work through sounding out the word and constructing the meaning with the word. The National Association for the Education of Young Children and the International Reading Association believe that reading and writing goals should be developmentally appropriate, which is challenging but achievable with support. This allows students to scaffold their learning abilities to become successful readers and writers and to build a lifelong love for learning. The classroom applications that can be applied beginning with instructional contexts for reading include read-alouds, shared reading, guided reading, and independent reading. During read-aloud instruction, the teacher reads to the whole class and students can follow along and see the illustrations. The teacher models fluent and expressive language during reading, develops comprehension, and gives thinking strategies. Shared reading is also whole class instruction where the teacher leads the class and students can observe the reading process and practice reading strategies and concepts. Guided reading is small group focused where the teacher introduces the text and models the strategy in which the students will read together. The students read to themselves quietly as the teacher leans in and listens and notates any strategies and obstacles, as well as give prompts as needed. The students then discuss the content and the comprehension. During independent reading, students will read with little or no support and will explore different types of texts, as well as choose books on their independent reading level. Instructional contexts for writing include shared writing, interactive writing, guided writing, and independent writing. Shared writing is whole class instruction where students contribute ideas and language to one shared text. Interactive writing is where students contribute ideas, language, and sometimes write words and letters to produce one shared text. Guided writing is small group writing where students work on their own pieces of writing with the teacher support. In independent writing, students work independently on their own writing pieces. The vision that I have for my literacy classroom includes a classroom library that has an organized book collection with a variety of genres and reading levels. Students will have access to the types of books that interest them to help promoting a love for reading and learning. There will be a small group table where I can work on guided reading and writing, and where I can work with students on one-on-one periodically. Students will also work together in small group activities and sharing reading amongst themselves, individually or in pairs depending on their comfortability level. Students will be encouraged to interact with each other on their writing and reading topics to further their imagination, communication, and encounter new learning with their peers. With space allowed, I'd like to have an area where students can get comfortable, sit on the floor or a beanbag chair and to read their books or even listen maybe to audiobooks. Word walls, including the alphabet and sight words, depending on the age, will be available to aid in reading and writing skills. When I picture being in my future classroom, I envision hearing students interact and read aloud with each other and sharing what they are reading about, or even talk about a story that they're writing and share the illustrations with each other. I envision a literacy-rich environment where students love to read and cannot wait to pick up the next book. To structure my day, I'll ensure that reading and writing skills are brought to all subject areas, so students associate reading and writing in every aspect of learning, as well as learning vocabulary across all content areas. To promote a literacy partnership with parents, I'll encourage parents to be a critical part of their children's learning plan to build home and school partnership. This is critical to encourage learning at home in addition to school curriculum. Encouraging students to read with their children for 20 minutes per day is important because it may be the richest potential for supporting students' early literacy development. To encourage this reading to take place with caregivers, young students will be sent home with a book bag for the parents and the student to read through together. That will be at the specific reading level for the student. I will also send home newsletters about giving suggestions on age-appropriate texts to aid caregivers to choose texts that are fundamental for students' continued learning. For English language learners or non-English speaking families, I will ensure that I give suggestions for text in their language, as well as communicate with the newsletter and verbally to ensure that the teacher-parent relationship is formed. To create a balanced literacy framework in the classroom, I'll start by determining the needs of the students, and this will help me determine the learning level for reading and writing, as well as where to begin to scaffold for the student. Students will be expected to read, write, and use oral language and word study on a daily basis. This will be important for all content areas. As Brown University describes literacy as part of lifelong learning and opportunities for success, it develops students through linguistic and cognitive abilities through the integration of reading, writing, speaking, and listening through all areas of instruction. Assessments in the classroom are a vital tool in literacy teaching. I plan to utilize running records to track reading progress and monitor reading level to ensure that the reader is on the correct text ladder step found to something out. Reading records will allow me to chart progress and even utilize diagrams and charts to present to parents during conferences. I plan to collect information on an ongoing basis and create portfolios to chart progress over time. This will be a valuable tool for parents, teachers, and the student, and for me to make instructional decisions. For writing assessment as part of literacy teaching, students will be writing on a daily basis. And I therefore will be able to compile pieces of the student's writing to also monitor for progress and assess questions based upon their writing. I will also be able to review for spelling, punctuation. Does the student sound out a word when they're spelling? Does the student reread what they've written? How does the student prepare to write? What's their writing style? What language do they use in their writing? Over time, writing pieces will help determine what has progressed or changed, or what has stayed the same. And also, does the student show variety, or do they demonstrate the same pattern? Assessing this work will allow me to teach new areas of growth and look for new possibilities within their writing. So I look forward to utilizing a balanced literacy framework in my future classroom and explore these possibilities with the goal to share my love for learning and to create a lifelong love for reading and literacy for my students. Thank you.